This is the audio from Recovery Stories, Message of Hope, Part 4, recorded on October 17th, 2024, in Traverse City, Michigan. Courtesy of Munson Behavioral Health, with a grant from HRSA, Health Resources and Services Administration. Here's Marney Winfield with her Message of Hope.
My name's Marney, and I'm a grateful person in recovery. I say that, and not because I'm not Marney and I'm an alcoholic, because that's very much so true. I check all the boxes of that and an addict. But I choose to say I'm Marney and I'm a grateful person in recovery because I'm blessed to be able to live every single day of my life without the use of drugs or alcohol. It's good stuff. Yeah. So those of you who know me, I wear a lot of hats. I kind of always have worn a lot of hats. And so I've just, not recently, it feels like recently, but I've recently graduated with my master's in social work. So I'm a clinical therapist. Don't be scared. Thank you. Yeah. I was working for Addiction Treatment Services. I worked for that agency, well, still actually technically do, for 4.5 years, and I was interning as an intern for mental wellness counseling at a private practice, and also working alongside my wonderful husband, launching 217 Recovery. And it required me to go to a lot of seminars and workshops and conferences and consortiums, because he doesn't know how to say consortiums. And at these, I noticed that they would ask this question a lot. It was very popular, but very powerful. And it was, what is your why? And so I'm sitting in these trainings and they say, what is your why? And so I'm like, okay, I can think about that. I'm like, cause I signed up for it. And like, why? Well, because I need the credits and I need to learn the material. Well, why? Because I need to pass a class. Why? Because I need to graduate. Why? Well, because I want to get my degree and be a clinical therapist. Well, why? Because I want to help people. Well, why? Because people help me. I'm a person in recovery, and I want to give back. And that's that's my passion. That's where I'm at right now. So what is your guys' why? Like, why are you here tonight, right? Some of you are in treatment, and I say this with the utmost sincerity. I am so freaking proud of you guys and ladies. Oh my God. Like, it's where it starts. So I was a Phoenix lady myself in a lot of different capacities and throughout my lifetime, but I started here, and I'll get into that in a second. So my story is, there are a lot of different chapters. I don't know, for those of you who've ever done open talks and you're like thinking about what you're going to say and you're like, oh my God, I don't even think I want to go back there. Like, I don't think I even really want to sift through the chaos that was my life to figure out what to share and what not to share. But this is Messages of Hope, so I'm going to try to veer in that direction. I grew up in Saline, which is near Ann Arbor, downstate, and I had a really good childhood. I had a really good upbringing, good core values. Alcohol was present in our household. My father, who is now 16 years sober, who actually is present here today in the back. So, I mean, he's got 16 years. He's like, 112. So, no, I'm just kidding. There was use in our home through when I was growing up. And actually, my dad was like my party buddy. We drank together and stuff later in life. But anyhow, for the most part, everything was good. No negativity, no physical abuse or emotional abuse in the household. Like, I had a really good upbringing. I had a lot of culture. I had a lot of travel. Had a lot of experiences. I was a very privileged child. I grew up and went to Michigan State. Is that a real thing? Went to Michigan State for my undergraduate degree, and I didn't really know. I never was one of those people that knew exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. And this is not where I'm going with this, that I didn't want to be an alcoholic, because I didn't want to be that either. But I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a cop. I didn't want to be a firefighter. I didn't want to be a veterinarian. I didn't want to be an accountant. I didn't want to be a hairdresser. Like all these things. I knew my limit. I knew my skill set. Let's just say that. And I knew it, but I knew I was good with people. So a lot of that had to do with showing me into my jobs that I chose were in the service industry. And for those of you that know the service industry, it's there's a lot of substance use in prevalence in the service industry. But I'm at Michigan State, and I'm doing really well. I got my head on pretty straight. I'm working at a restaurant called the Riviera Cafe, which is not a cafe, it's a bar. And I got a really good education, but junior year is when I really started noticing my relationship with alcohol was not normal. Even though at Michigan State and partying, things were acceptable, right? Binge drinking is acceptable. Hangovers are acceptable. Drinking during the day is acceptable. Drinking in the morning is acceptable. Smelling like booze at 8 o'clock in the morning at your class is acceptable because, you're in college and people don't really care. But it ended up catching up with me. My grades started slipping end of junior year into senior year. But I graduated with honors. I did great. I did get my first DUI when I was in college. Ran through a stop sign, slap on the wrist, no big deal. I didn't really even think it was a thing. I just thought I was a college student who got caught. After I graduated, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I took a bunch of different jobs in sales positions, lived a bunch of different places. Nothing really set in. I kind of was like a nomad, but was doing okay everywhere I went until I wasn't. I don't want to spend too much time on like the negative stuff that happened to me or like the chaos and the detriment that was my life for a lot of years, because not that it's not important, it is important. And it's important for you to explore those things and deal with those things and not sweep everything under the rug in terms of what you've dealt with and what you've had to go through, but in the time that makes sense, and always with the idea that you want to keep what you're doing strength-based and forward-focused. Those are the two things that are really important in what I think of now in terms of recovery. After I graduated, fast forward, I went to a bunch of rehabs, and people always ask, like, when is it that you actually, when it clicked, like, when is it when you actually, it stuck? And for me, it was for when it was my idea. It had to be my idea. The treatment center that I went there on my own terms. It wasn't because of the judge. It wasn't because of my parents. It wasn't because of a boyfriend. It wasn't because of an employer. It wasn't because of a roommate. It was because I knew I needed to go or I was going to die. At that point, I had already been hospitalized multiple times for detox. I'd been septic at one point. And it was just terrible relationships, abuse, physical, emotional. And it was time for me to turn things around. And I knew if I was going to do that, I couldn't do it by myself, and I needed to take this seriously. So I went into treatment and went to Bear River. And I went in with full intentions of just doing the work and doing exactly what our friend Kim talked about earlier, keeping things real, right? Getting honest with myself, getting honest about why I was there, getting honest about the things I had been through, getting honest about who I had hurt, getting honest about the people who had hurt me, doing my 4-step stuff, right? Getting it all out and really realizing, like, what do I need to do to move forward now? And the advice that they give you is say you need to change everything. That's exactly what I did. There were very, very, very few people, except for pretty much my family, that I actually kept contact with after I left that place. And I started over. And I did everything different than what I had done before. It's one of those things where I just knew that I needed to readjust my life and like refocus and have it be real this time for me. To do that, I got a job at Addiction Treatment Services, and I was making like $11 an hour. So here I was, like, with this bachelor's degree, and I'm just like, I need to be around people that know what I am and know what I'm doing and be okay with it. And that's where I ended up. And I can help other people along the way. And that's where I got lined up doing my coursework for my master's degree. And, now I'm on that route right now, and it's going amazing. The one thing I do want to talk about, so people always ask me how I met Corey. We are an exception to the rule. All right. We're just going to say that. So they say not to get in relationships within the first year and what have you. This was totally unintentional, mind you. The treatment center that I was speaking of, he actually was working there at the time as a tech. Now, there was not any sort of weirdness when I was there. I promise you that. Hand to God. I was like, this guy's funny and he's serious about his recovery, and I'm going to listen to what he has to say, because that's what I'm supposed to do, is listen to what people have to say that, are actually legit about their own recovery. And so, so I actually tracked him down afterwards on Facebook, and I was like, where's there a meeting? And he's like, I don't think I can go to a meeting with you. And I was like, well, you said to stick with the people who stick with the winners. And so anyway, from that point on, we ended up getting together later down the line, and I can now call him my husband, and it's amazing. And he's an amazing man. When they say that the promises come true, that's for real, 100%. And they maybe not overnight, not as fast as you want them to, but they definitely do. Of all the trauma that I've been through, like that's not the stuff that I focus on today. I focus on what I need to do for myself to stay sober. And that's making sure that I'm refilling my own recovery tank, as I call it, right? Doing the things that I need to do to make sure that I have less of a chance of picking up today. Whether it's meetings, whether it's talking to somebody at the office, maybe it's touching base with my family. Maybe it's exercising. No. All these promises and all these miracles come true. And the biggest miracle in my life, as most of you guys know, and if you don't, I am a new mom. And it is, I know. It is the ultimate blessing. And that I can guarantee you is the work of a higher power, 100%. So I know that my higher power is on my side, always has been. It's just sometimes I wasn't listening. My husband, my best friend, Corey, today, he's my why. And my little baby back there who's crying, he's my why. All you guys in this room today, you guys are all my why. So keep doing what you're doing. Stay clean and sober. You're doing amazing. Give yourself a pat on your back. Give yourself some grace. Thank you for coming tonight. Take care, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Listen to over 900 episodes on the 217 Recovery app that's free in your app store or online at 217recovery.com.